Hey y'all, it's your girl Sidney Michelle here with another episode of Lights Camera Business with Black Enterprise. And today I have the pleasure of sitting next to Grammy winning. Let's start with that. Grammy winning entrepreneur, show host, the list goes on, Estelle.
Thank you. How are you feeling?
I'm great. Thank you for joining me.
Battle.
Listen, y'all, we're going to get into every aspect of this beautiful queen's life, but I would like to start my interviews by taking it back a little, right?
Okay.
So I want to take it back to that young girl in London. And if we could put her in this room and have her sit here and look at you, Estelle, in 2024, who's a Grammy winning, as I mentioned, entrepreneur, show host, label owner, what would she say just looking at 2024, a version of Estelle? What would she say?
Oh my goodness. she might be like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Look at you, you did all the things. And also she might say like, oh, are you tired?
Are you tired?
Are you tired?
So I know she's proud, but is she surprised? Tell me about that young drive that you had growing up in London that's led you to where you are today.
Logically, I would say she's not surprised.
Okay.
Because I write things down and I plan for things and I work towards them. So however they show up, they show up. But a lot of the things I've said I wanted to do, I've done 1,000% done them. And some of the things I said I wanted to do absolutely never happened.
And that's okay. That's okay. But the ones that you have done, a younger you is not surprised because you always wanted to do that. Exactly. Tell me about why you wanted to start in music and just using music as an expression of yourself.
Well, I've always just wanted to do music. That was it. That was the thing that made me the happiest. I think maybe I was 12 or 13. It was the one thing I could do. Born in a big family. It was the one thing I could do to like kind of get away from everyone and indulge my inside voice, my inside head. I'm an Aquarius moon, which is meant to be your inside head.
Okay.
And being by myself and dreaming is a good time for me. I have no qualms with being alone, right? Yeah. So being in my house and just singing and stuff and just like being in my bedroom and like learning and teaching myself different things was like, get away, because once I figured out, I can learn how to do a harmony, or I can learn how to do this and that, it was just like the biggest joy for me. So she'd be just, it's not a surprise, and she'd be so like, yeah, music, that was the thing, and you kept doing it, and you got so good at it, and look, you won awards for it, Now, the other things that I do all came as a happy surprise, but they were kind of a thing where I was like, and I'd like to do my own clothes, and I'd like to, do this, and I'd like to do that, and those things have come. Some of them have absolutely come in beauty and glory, and other things I'm still working on.
Right.
But they were all happening.
Yeah, I love that. It's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a race, as they say.
They tell us.
We know Estelle as this amazing artist, like I said, Grammy-winning artist, but I just want to kind of tap into the entrepreneurial side of you, who many don't know. You own your own record label. Tell me about that, because that's very rare where we see artists this day and age who are super successful, but also own their own label and are the bosses and kind of direct their lives in the terms of the music industry. Tell me about that, because that's a big thing. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal, but it's been a necessary thing for me from the beginning. I wasn't straight signed to any label by myself ever. I've always had my own production unit and my own label, and then I signed to whoever, because that's business 101, and I learned that from books. Anything you need to know about the music business, I tell people to buy that. And from looking at people like Jay-Z, he was like one of my first business idols. More than a rapper, I love him as a rapper, but more than a rapper, I was like, how do you do that and that and that, and you rap and you that? And if you can do it, I can do it.
Right. So you said kind of let me try and emulate that in which way I can.
And also it helped that, again, I wasn't signed to any label. They weren't looking at me as something that was viable, that could be good by itself. So I set out myself. I said, well, let me go find a distributor. That's what I need. And I found a distributor. And before that, I was selling them out the trunk of the bus, of my backpack when I used to go on the bus. And I would go to the record shops and sell. So I've always had that label and just do it yourself mindset.
Right.
So having a label was the next best thing. And I've always been on Estelle Records, ST98, Estelle Ents, all the things myself before anything. So
I love that. Shout out to you for that.
Thank you.
And it kind of goes into this theme of Black ownership, right?
For sure.
And I feel like that's such a big aspect of today's day and age, why sometimes artists aren't happy. But you knew early on. Talk to me about that and ownership and being able to kind of just to write your own journey, but financially own your stuff too.
Well, I know this. I've never been afraid of work, and I think that's part of the struggle with artists. You know, you're told just get signed to a label, let them do all the work. You don't have to do as much. Just be an artist, and that kind of takes away the idea that you have to really have your hat on in 5 different places while you're being an artist. I've never been afraid of the 5 other different places because no one was going to tell me that I was great or that the music I was putting out was worthy of anything. So I did it myself, you know, and it led me back around to being an independent artist after having signed to labels and had them worked with them and gained a certain amount of success and have them tell me, all right, it's been fun, right? You know, and one in particular label I asked to be let go of. The second one, I was like, I don't think this is, you know,
it's not aligning.
It's not aligning anymore. And they were like, we agree, we don't want to hold you up. And I was like, love you. And they let me go with everything I owned and everything I needed with no debt, which is important. So, you know, everything works exactly as I meant it to work and exactly as I can say I'm appreciative that it worked the way it worked out. So
look at you now.
I'm so happy. I'm so sure. Because it really is a thing when you think about artists who started before me, after me, in the same era in the United States. I started 10 years before in the UK, and I'd say they're not around anymore, but they're not doing what we're doing. If you were an independent straight off the bat out of that situation,
right?
We used a lot of the leverage, and we used a lot of the fact that people liked me and liked what I was about, and I was truthful and honest about my growth, you know, and about what we were doing. I wasn't there saying, yeah, I'm still signed to a label. I'm not signed. You know, I was like, no, I'm signed to myself. I stood in that, you know?
Yeah. You owned it.
Respected it. Yeah.
I love that.
And supported it.
I love that. Yeah. So if you have, let's say, a young, super talented artist like yourself all those years ago, what would be the number one lesson that you learned in this journey of being independent? Let's say you have an artist who is super, super, has an amazing voice as you do, has an amazing pen as you do, but they don't want to get wrapped up in the financial woes of being signed to a label. I know so much comes with it, but if you would have to explain to them the biggest lesson you learned in being this successful as an independent artist, as a record label owner, what would that tidbit be? If you had to pick one, I know it's probably, you can write a book about it.
There are books about it. Right, yeah.
But if you had to pick the number one Estelle lesson that you've learned along that journey, specifically in being an independent artist, what would that be?
It's a two-pronged, not two-pronged. What's that? It's a two-pronged statement. It's have faith in yourself and stay open to learning. Those are two main things that will drive you wherever you need to go, right? Have faith, stay open to learning. There's every single version of this shifts and changes every 5 years in the industry. Like there's no version of it that stays the same or that is, you know, there's different versions of it, but it's evolved some, or it includes this now, and this has morphed into that now, right? Stay open and stay learning about all of it. You're going to use it. It's going to use you. Be okay with that, you know? And have faith in yourself. You know what you came here with. You know what you're here to do. Do that.
You know your calling.
You know your calling. And don't let the fame be your calling. Understand, if you're writing lyrics, you're an alchemist. You're changing people's lives. If you're writing melody, you're affecting people's energy, you know, frequencies. Take that serious. Take that really serious, you know?
I love that. I hope y'all just took some notes right there, because that was a bar.
It's true.
So we have Estelle, the super, super successful artist. We have this Estelle, the record label owner. We also have the Estelle who owns her own clothing line.
I do.
Talk to me about that, because most people don't know that as well. Talk to me about that. What has that been like, just going into the fashion avenue?
Well, I've done so many different collaborations with brands, with other artists, with us called designers artists. I've done so many different things with people, and for me, it kind of was a mesh in the panini. it kind of merged in Panini, I want to say. I took everything I learned from doing merch for my shows and merch for my tours and whatnot, and smushed it in with the fact that I just wanted to look good and decent while I was in the house.
Okay.
Because every other second they were like, "Can you get on camera and do this?" And I was like, "In my PJs."
Yeah, so you got it had to be ready.
Yeah, so that was I was like, let's make a sweatsuit set that is comfortable, that's lightweight, that still keeps you warm, but that also just looks like something. And I called it Established 98 because that's where I was born.
Okay.
But it was very much like just I don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to do high fashion sweats. I have so much respect for people that do clothing design, that are designers. Like Jerry Lorenzo, I've watched him work his whole life and really build something incredible in this, arguably the sweats and the casual or leisure wear space, that I don't want to say, hey, buy this next to like we're not in any delusion. We're clear about exactly what we're selling at this rate and at this space, and we build from there,
I love that.
And I just want it to be truthful. Again, my thing is, I'm not reinventing the wheel. There are 1,000 tops, 1,000 pairs of sweats, 1,000 pairs of jeans. I want to wear what I want to wear.
Absolutely. And I love a product that kind of comes from your genuine needs and wants.
Everything that works for me is for my personal genuine needs and wants.
And that's what makes it successful. Yeah. The ones that flop are usually, like you said, trying to reinvent the wheel, trying to make something fetch, as they say.
Cut it out.
Cut it out. All right. So we have Estelle, this super successful artist, the record label owner, the fashion line owner. Yeah. I'm telling y'all, the list is pretty long. Next, I want to speak about you joining forces with Apple Music and launching your show. What has that been like? Because I imagine it allows you to kind of, we know you as the artist, like I said, but it kind of allows us to get to know your personality. Yeah. And I love that for you. Talk to me about that process.
Well, I think people, and this is the part, I think everybody who knows me personally knows me, right? And it's like, oh, you know me. And they're like, no, we know what you give us. And I'm just like, I really don't be putting nothing out on the ground. Okay. Well, this to me was a full circle moment. The Apple Music show, because the story is that we were sitting in a studio session with one of our friends, and me and my manager were arguing about music as we do. Like, no, that person's not. Absolutely not. You're crazy. Like, no. Like having one of those big heated arguments. Yeah. And our friend looked at us and he said, "You want to have a radio show? Just tell the people this stuff on the radio show." And I was like,
talk to the people,
right? Well, we had already pitched an idea of sorts back in 2016. So we took it back to Apple. Okay. And at the time, the first pitch, they were like merging their beats and everything was in flux. But this time around, they were like, brilliant idea. How'd you like to do it 5 days a week? And I was like, for sure. What, talk my shit 5 days a week?
Absolutely.
But like you said, it gives me a chance to do things that I care about. So the station allows us to go back to Guy, Teddy Riley, Buju. It allows us to go back to Dennis Brown. It allows us to go through every version of music from the 70s all the way up to the 90s. 70s all the way up to the 2000s, now 2020s. I had to think about that. But it allows us to have the whole spectrum of Black music instead of just one section saying, oh, this is the future, this is the now. It's like, well, we all stand on the shoulders of these folk. And this is what we want to give you. And also we give you moods and vibes. Cuffing is it's all year round movement.
Cuffing season.
Cuffing season. Rally is all year round, guys. We have Love on a Wednesday where we talk a little bit more about topics that are, love topics, and not just relationships, but real life, your friends, your family, your parents, and how we're moving through this life. With my co-host Barriola on that one. Living Room Soul and Daytime Hype is, you might get a Jay-Z block, you might get a DMX block, things like that. And Living Room Soul is the oldies. It's the ones that we grew up listening to.
I love that. So I was going to say, I'm such a big fan of her show, but why I love, one of the reasons is because, like you said, you kind of take us through a musical journey from the start. I'm Caribbean also, so Barris, Buju, and then all the way from the middle up until now. And like you said, you even put me on Smart, because I'm an old soul. But you put me on to either some upcoming artists, which is awesome. Just the way you're able to bridge the gap between the people we're standing on and the people that will one day stand on us.
Exactly.
It's so dope the way you do that.
Nothing we do is new.
Amen.
And I just realized that I just like seeing how it evolves. I love being a part of it. I like watching it from the sidelines too, and being in a room this is such a great room to exist in. listen to all this music. I listened to Mary, and then I listened to SZA, and I listened to Summer Walker, and I listened to, in between that there was Monica and a bunch of other single artists who, like, from Monifa to Yvette Michelle. Like, there's so many that fit into that range that we forget about on a day to day. But then you put that song and you're like, it's been so long. You know, like, oh, you're like, I remember this.
It takes you back.
Like,
it takes you back.
Exactly.
Super, super nostalgic. But like I said, it kind of, for everyone who listens, whether your age or demographic, it kind of opens you up to either some things you never heard before or some things you never heard in a long time.
1,000%.
And I think that's so important in today's day and age. Like you said, we turn on the streaming and all we hear is new and no shade to the new.
No, it's beautiful. We put them in there too.
Yeah. You need that 360.
We do. We need the whole spectrum. I feel like, especially as a musician, it's kind of my job to give the information to the youngest who are wondering, like, how can you still be here and people still care to hear what you put out? I'm like, because I know where I came from, because I know the music I was raised on. I know it. I don't just hear it. I know it. Like, it lives inside of me. Like, you start a note and I can tell you 3 or 4 songs that begin with that same note. Like, I can do that. And I want you to have that ability and have that skill and have that information, because it's ours. It's not something that was just given to a special few. It's ours. It's Black music.
Absolutely.
You know? Take it, use it.
And Black music, as we know, started everything. So yes. We're not going to go into that.
That's it.
But I'm just going to put it out there. Speaking of Estelle, the artist, you're coming up on a new album. But I want to go back a little bit because, funny enough, remember the MySpace days. Your song "Come Over" was like on my MySpace for everyone loved American Boy. I love American Boy too, but your song "Come Over" was like on my MySpace for like months. I don't know why. I think I was just coming into my womanhood, and it was just such like a sensual but like sophisticated song. It was just vibey. Just had to give you that. I love that song.
She said MySpace. I'm like,
yeah. We're gonna take it back to the MySpace days a little bit, just a little bit. But talk to me about American Boy. Did you expect it to blow the way it did? Because it blew up not only in America but worldwide. It's kind of like a cultural reference at this point. Like when you hear, "Oh, American," that's Estelle. Like it's straight off the dome. As soon as you just even hear that, the phrase "American Boy," we think about you.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
I would say in the moments of making it, like, this gonna be everywhere. And if you don't like it, well, then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna sing our beef, and it's gonna be everywhere. I would say that to everyone. It's gonna be everywhere. But also, I prayed for that record. Like, that was whatever I put on this album. I remember having a real clear prayer talk with God about, like, shine. And I was like, whatever we put on this album, I just want it to be lifestyle. I want people for them to feel it in a way that is like, I was hoovering the floor on a Sunday and I was playing that record, and I remember the feeling. And that's what I put into that song and into that record, into that album. So when American Boy went where it went, and it was just full of pure light and fun. And one of my other intentions was like, I want to sing this so people feel fun and joy wherever they go. Because this is just fun and joy. I'm not.
And we need that in music. We need that in
We
music.
need that intention.
Yeah.
I want everyone to, like, really focus, because again, you're playing with frequencies and you have a great power with that. So put the intention behind it. So I want to say yes because I was saying it, but I didn't know it was going to do all the things while I was working for it to do all the things.
You knew, but you didn't know it was gonna go like that.
Ooh, and then it went. Yeah, it was a wild time.
It's such a successful record that even to today, you know, we think about your 6th studio album that's coming up, and I mean, the way that song went, everybody's like, "Okay, Estelle, we're ready. Please feed us some more. Please feed us some more."
It's coming. I'm so
how are you taking that anticipation and putting it into your upcoming album?
Well, I've been sitting on this album for 6 years.
Wow.
Well, since 2018. So yeah, 6 years. I've been working on it. And my thing is timing. I didn't want to throw it out to throw it out. I had an album in 2018. I immediately started working on this one. And for me, it was like, I've never been the artist. It's like, quick, follow it up, quick. Never.
Mm.
It doesn't work like that for me. I have to go live a little bit. I have to go do some shit wrong, do some shit right, clear out some cycles, close some personal chapters. And that's what I did. The entire 6 years I've been just out here day by day working and getting it right, I think. But this album is about speaking to the light in people and everybody who's had to go through some changes, as we all have with this panini. Couldn't have thought about it when we started making it, that we would go through a pandemic, that we would go through these world wars, that we're going through the wildest time in American history. And imagine I was saying, American boy, I was all happy and joyful coming here. Now I'm here like, God.
And I was like, what happened?
And all of a sudden, it's nuts. Couldn't think about it, but I think that this music is for this time. It's exactly for this time. It allows us to refocus, to look for the light instead of looking for the negative. You know, not be pessimistic about our joy. You know, and to know and speaks to where your joy comes from, which is inside of you. So if you feel it, you understand it, and you feel joyful, that comes from you. You have the power to harness that joy. Keep doing that, you know, keep building on that instead of being like, well, just no. It's really your joy. It's yours, you know, use it, keep it going.
I love that. So this upcoming album is about joy.
Yeah.
And it's about
finding it again.
And finding it from where you're saying within yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
A whole bit. A whole lot of it. Okay.
What they say in church, this is a good church reference. What they say, of this joy I have, a world didn't give and the world can't take it.
I know that's right.
That's what this is. It didn't come from anything in this world. I've done it all, had it all, lost it all, you know, and I'm still happy. And how does that even fathom based on the way that we're, you know, how does that even work based on the way that we're raised?
Right.
You know?
Because we're programmed just to win, push, but not enjoy the ride.
There's no anything that, there's no substance to say that. I mean, there's clothes or shoes, is that, but we all know that's fleeting. An earthquake could take that out any second. So how do you beyond that live? How do we beyond that keep going? And the world as it is, energy set up to, you know, kind of like get at that core. And I'm saying, well, here's some light to help defend your core. Here's something to help keep you on the up. This is what this record's at for me.
I love that. Because boy, do we need it.
Ooh, baby.
Boy, do we need it.
I need it.
Just to close, speaking about joy and how bad we need it, you participated in a PSA about voting.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, especially as someone London born, freshly citizenized.
Yes, citizenized.
Well, that's okay because you still have the voice.
I think
you are the voice.
I will.
But you even using your voice and your star power to contribute to this PSA about voting and voter registration. What made you want to do that?
I've worked with Icon Man for the past few years, and this one to me felt extra important. And I felt like a little like nuts reading I Too Am America, right? And everyone was just looking at me. I was like, no, I have a passport now. I really vote, guys. This is real.
Yes, this is real.
Listen, we just went through this in the UK. We just went through this in Europe, in France, and people chose right. I would like for the United States to follow suit because I enjoy living here. I enjoy the experience. I think there's, again, like I said, there's light in everybody. And I just think that we have to preserve that. We have to work towards that. And America is made up of immigrants, you know, as well as the indigenous people is now present day made up of immigrants. We are all America. We are all this fun, beautiful American boy ass country.
Melting pot, as they call it.
Melting pot, right. So to me, it's like we all have a say. And like I said, as much as we have a vote, use it. Please use it. And if not, if you don't care for the big top, worry about what's inside the tent, your local, your councils, your state stuff, because that stuff is the stuff that affects you day to day. That's the stuff that every single time you switch on, you drive down the street and it's a big old pothole. That stuff matters. Every time you go down the street and you can't get a grocery store in your neighborhood, that stuff matters. When your kids can't get to school or get the right schooling, that's what matters. So for me, it's important. All of that is important.
Definitely. And even taking it a step further as someone who will hopefully be our next president. of Caribbean descent. I mean, I always vote, but that even was more such of a driving factor. And I'm like, seeing you a part of that PSA, it kind of all brings it in together. Yeah. Because like you said, this country was built from immigrants. Yeah. This country was built from people who are not native necessarily to this land. So your voice counts as much as anyone else's voices counts. And I love how you took the time to be a part of that.
For sure. Absolutely. My thing is with things that affect us and future kids or kids presently, I have all the time in the world. Mm-hmm. Like, for sure. Like, there's somebody cared enough to stand in the gap and vote or get in play so that I could have this existence. My grandma and stood in lines in the UK, paid the poll tax that we had to pay to in order to be able to vote. I can't take that for granted. I know how tired she was every single time she had to go do that. I know how much money she didn't have and how much she did have. I know exactly what was happening. And I don't get to just be like, well, I'm here now. I have a little bit of responsibility.
Absolutely. You know? And it's like, what's crazy is you just made me draw a parallel. Like you said, your grandmother, my grandmother did the same thing in Chicago. Stood on those lines, paid that poll tax, went through all those hoops and just horrible treatment to be able to vote. So to be equal and to be seen as good enough to vote. So
we don't have a choice. Right. We don't have a right to do that right now.
Absolutely. We don't have a choice. We don't have a right to do that. And whether you're American born or not, if you're here, it's important that you use your chance to vote.
Use your chance. If you can't vote, use your platform. Do what you can. Talk to the people about why you'd like them to. When I couldn't vote, I would help with my friends, rally or show up to their shows or like help spread their messages, you know, like tell my friends like, you should probably do it because like I'd like to stay here and I don't want to go to shit. So, you know.
So please.
Please. Yeah, you know.
I love that. Well, thank you for doing that. And thank you for using your voice. Just to wrap, we know what's coming. I usually know what's coming next. So we know what's coming. Your 6th album and we cannot wait.
Man, so hyped.
What is the number one thing you're most excited about?
Oh, I've been sitting on this album for so long.
So you're just ready for it to get out.
I'm ready for this thing to be out in the world, but you know, I'm also ready to perform. I love my whole thing with this was 4 hours of sessions. I didn't overthink it. And if I left the studio standing still, I was like, it didn't make the album. And there's like 2 records maybe that I was like, I mean, that's all right. Every single record that we did, I was jamming the whole way through. So I love this body of work. If I'll say it again, we going to Ibiza. Like nobody else, we're going to what was it? Greece? We're going to Greece, okay? We're going to Ibiza, okay? It's going up. We're gonna have fun with this. I feel like people want to be joyful and dance, and this is joy, and this is like, you know, and I can't wait to go share it with everybody.
We can't wait for it because Lord knows, like I said, we need the joy, but we need just that uplifting. I love to dance also. We just need that a nice solid project filled with that. So
fully.
Congratulations on that. We're very excited.
Thank you.
Congratulations on just everything that you've accomplished this far. And thank you again for using your voice at such a critical time in this country.